Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, and it's been a while since I did a Yamato replay, isn't it? Well, don't worry, today we're going to fix that. This is Elgar 72, and as is probably pretty obvious by now, he's sailing the Imperial Japanese Navy's super battleship, the Yamato. We're on the tiers of the cruisers map, but he's not in a cruiser. Even better, there are no fun police in this battle. This is a carrier-free game, so there's a fairly good chance that somebody's about to have some fun. There is at least one person in this match who is not about to have a huge amount of fun. That guy, the Henri IV. He's not the first ship spotted on the enemy team, but he's the first ship that Elgar's spotted that he's actually able to shoot at. Now that is an extremely quick cruiser with some seriously big guns, and those things just love to put themselves on your flank and hammer you with crossfire. And I think what he was trying to do was sneak over to the cover of the island over there on the right and do exactly that. But the problem is that the Henri's concealment is absolutely garbage. It has a base surface detection range of more than 16.5 kilometers. So the Daring spotted him, and he's decided to scrub plan A, but what he didn't realise was that there was a Yamato waiting for him to execute the turn, catch him in the broadside, and do that to him. So other than getting shot at by a Yamato, what exactly did the Henri do wrong there? Not a lot, other than being a little bit too ambitious right at the start of the match. He certainly had the speed to make it around the flank, but he didn't have the concealment. A Zhao would probably have been able to pull that move off. So the Henri is the first casualty of the match, and Elgar didn't get the kill. So that means he doesn't get the first blood talent. You might have noticed that his tracers are coloured red. This means that he has this Isiroko Yamamoto as the unique commander on the Yamato. And if you do manage to get the first blood award with this captain on your ship, it activates the first blood talent, which grants an extra charge to all of the consumables on your ship. But he didn't get it, so that opportunity has passed us by. Isiroko Yamamoto does come with another unique commander skill, but you have to get the Kraken Unleashed award for that. It's called the Second Wind skill, and if you get the Kraken Unleashed and you activate the skill, as well as a nice little display of fireworks, it also reduces the reload of your main battery guns by 34%, and the ship starts to heal up to 48% of its damage over the next 2 minutes. So these are very useful skills to have, but they're very situational. You can't guarantee that you're going to see one or both of these skills activate during the course of any given battle. Elgar's already missed the opportunity to get the first blood skill active, and if he wants to get the second wind skill, he's going to have to sink 5 enemy ships. Bull Halsey's unique skills for the Americans are kind of similar. You have to get the Double Strike or Confederate award in order to activate his specials. By contrast, it looks like Wargaming are trying something slightly different with an upcoming Soviet unique commander. It's going to be available in the next patch for event tokens in the arsenal. And the skill that he's going to come with isn't going to be quite as powerful as Halsey's or Yamamoto's skills, but you're probably going to get regular use out of it in just about every battle you play. It activates when your ship is reduced to below 10% health. And when that condition's met, it basically triggers a free heal and a free damage control. Not quite as powerful as Yamamoto's Second Wind skill, which triggers a free heal and reloads your guns 34% faster, but you have to score a Kraken Unleashed to activate that. Halsey has the Hit Fast talent, which can be earned multiple times during the course of a single battle, and each time you activate that talent, the concealment of the ship that you control gets buffed by 10%, but in order to activate that talent you have to score a double strike. And how often do you score double strikes? By contrast, how often does your ship get reduced to 10% health or less? So, straight away you can see, while not as immediately powerful, the Russian commander skill is probably going to see a lot more use. Elgar keeps racking up the damage numbers here. No more fancy citadels. Yet. But lots of good, solid, penetrating shell hits. And he's in no rush to close the distance. He's in a Yamato. It's not great up close. It's not like a Grosser Kurfürst, for example. Well, it's not even a Montana. The Montana actually has a very, very heavy broadside if you count not just the main battery 16-inch guns, but also all of the secondaries. Speaking of Montanas, there's a friendly Montana whose approaching that smoke screen over there. Smoke screens are known to contain things that fire torpedoes. In fact, the gearing has just been respotted. He was spotted earlier, and he hasn't gone far. Well, in fact, he hasn't gone anywhere. He's still in the exact same position. So, spotted earlier, popped smoke, didn't move from the smoke screen, spotted again. Montana still manages to blunder right into all of his torpedoes. And in fact, it was a flood from the gearing's earlier torpedo launch that actually sank the Montana. So the Montana blundered into his torpedoes twice. Speaking of blundering into things, yep, the Conqueror has just run himself aground. And he's managed to do it within shooting range and broadside on to Elgar's Yamato. How's he going to get out of that one? Well, he was inside the gearing smokescreen. In fact, he still is inside the gearing smokescreen. So if he'd had the sense to stop shooting his guns, he could have gone undetected. But, well, we're really talking next level battleship tactics here. The gearing has managed to get his torpedoes away, again. And while the gearing is about to die, those torpedoes are going to make life really fun and interesting for the Hindenburg and the Moskva, who saw what happened to the Montana when he chased the gearing around the corner and thought it might be a good idea to follow. The Conqueror, meanwhile, is enjoying the luck of the Irish. How this guy is not already dead. Overpowered British battleship heel notwithstanding, he's reversing, slowly, broadside on, in front of a Yamato. And he's getting away with it. Runs into an island broadside on in front of a Yamato. Doesn't take advantage of the handy smokescreen that the gearing left for him. Slowly reverses, broadside on in front of the Yamato. And it's only now that he's actually going forward that he thinks about applying any kind of rudder and giving any kind of angle. And it's still just the bare minimum necessary to clear the island, so he's effectively still broadside on. And somehow, he survives. Go home, World of Warships. You're drunk. Elgar, I think you need to kill something. That buffalo should do. Now, you remember what happened to the Henri IV earlier when it was caught broadside on, in open water, on this map, in front of a Yamato? Well, there's a reason why they call this map Tears of the Cruisers. Not quite as impressive as the damage he inflicted on the Henri earlier. The Buffalo just didn't have that much health remaining. But, unlike against the Henri, that one was a kill. And kills are going to be very important in this particular battle. While Elgar is shooting at that Des Moines over there, I just want to draw your attention to the other Yamato on the team. He's all the way down there in the bottom right corner of the minimap. Now for Elgar's team, that's actually an amazingly good position in which to have their Yamatos. Elgar over here and that guy all the way down there, because what it means is that the visible enemy ships, it doesn't matter where they go or which piece of cover they try to hide behind, they're going to be getting shot at by a Yamato from one direction at least. And if they're in line of sight of both of the Yamatos, as that Des Moines was, it doesn't matter which way they try to angle their ships. If you angle against one of the Yamatos to make yourself a smaller target, you're given broadside to the other one. Which, when you think about it, is kind of bizarre. Not the positioning. The positioning of the two Yamatos is actually very good in this match, but in the length of time that it took me to point out the excellent positioning of the two Yamatos and the benefits that this brings to Elgar's team, the team have managed to squander this advantage and have actually lost 3 ships in very close succession. So it's 5 against 7, the enemy team are nearly 200 points ahead. The friendly Alaska, getting a little bit nervous that he hasn't seen the Shimakaze in a while, pops his radar. And Elgar gets the very unwelcome news that the Shimakaze is hunting him. His secondaries immediately open up, but the Shimakaze is on the far side of an island, so he's no immediate threat, and he's unlikely to want to poke out while he's still exposed by radar. So while the Shimakaze is biding his time, Elgar lets rip with his 18-inch guns at a cruiser, caught broadside on and exposed in open water. The Shimakaze is still detected, so he's in no rush to come out, and things are actually starting to look quite salvageable. Elgar's 3rd kill on the Worcester has closed the points gap, and they're only outnumbered by 1 ship. And things are about to get even better. Remember the other Yamato lurking behind the island, down in the bottom right corner of the map. The enemy Republic has decided that he's far too much of a problem in that position, and he is, and he's gone down there to try to sort him out. Can't tell from here how much damage the Republic managed to inflict on the Yamato as they both came around the corner guns blazing, but it was the Yamato who came out on top. Elgar's team are finally ahead on points and even on kills. If they can just hold on to this advantage, they've got this game in the bag. Sadly, the friendly Alaska, whose radar pinpointed the position of the Shimakaze, is closing in and chewing up the broadside of the Conqueror that we saw earlier, but in the process of doing that, he was giving broadside to the enemy Grosser Kurfürst, and he just suffered the consequences. Now, the Grosser Kurfürst was fairly badly beaten up, and the Zhao managed to get some torpedoes away, but while we're on the subject of torpedoes, it's about time the Shimakaze, lurking behind the island at the back there, made his presence felt. It was a difficult torpedo angle for the Shimakaze, launching his torpedoes in a chasing attack against two battleships sailing away from him, but while Elgar does take 2 hits, the consequences are much more severe for the Montana. He only takes the 1 torpedo, but it nearly finishes him off. However, the turn to avoid those torpedoes has put both Elgar and the Montana broadside onto the Conqueror. Of course, that means that the Conqueror is also broadside on to both the Montana and Elgar, but, well, he just continues to refuse to die. We've already seen just how lucky this Conqueror is, and he manages to get the kill on the Montana. Elgar's secondaries are opening up there. The Shimakaze, in an attempt to steal the kill on the low health Montana, fired his guns and gave his position away. And he's continuing to fire, but this time at Elgar, now from within the safety of his smokescreen. The Conqueror's luck, however, is fast running out. He's now caught in a crossfire between 2 Yamatos. The other friendly Yamato down to the south adding his guns to the mix, although he does have significant problems of his own with an enemy Grosser Kurfürst bearing down on him, and the Stalingrad has just sunk the friendly Zhao, leaving these 2 Yamatos as the last 2 ships alive. Elgar gets the kill on the Conqueror. He turns to face the smokescreen just in time for the enemy Grosser Kurfürst to kill the other Yamato by ramming him. Elgar 72 is now the last ship left alive on his team. He doesn't have a huge amount of health left. He's on fire. The Shimakaze's firing torpedoes at him from the safety of his smokescreen. The enemy team are nearly a full 100 points ahead, and they have a 2-ship advantage. If Elgar is going to win this match, he's either going to have to kill all 3 enemy ships, or kill at least 2 of them and take control of at least 1 of the capture points, which is easier said than done when you're in a ship the size of the Yamato. Now at the moment, Elgar is actually undetected, which means that none of the surviving 3 enemy ships have a clear line of sight to him. Now, that's not surprising when you consider that 2 of the enemy ships are the Stalingrad and the Yamato on the far side of the islands to the south. But that doesn't explain why the Shimakaze, having just launched and missed with all of its torpedoes, would still be sitting inside the smokescreen, unable to see out of it. Surely it would make more sense for him to use the smokescreen to retreat, get outside of detection range and continue to spot Elgar for the Yamato and the Stalingrad with his team. But instead, he hangs around inside the smokescreen, waiting for his torpedoes to reload, and basically hands the kill to Elgar on a silver plate. That's the Kraken Unleashed, and don't forget, with this Hiroko Yamamoto as the captain of a ship that scores a Kraken Unleashed, your guns start firing 34% faster, and the ship has a heal triggered. And that's going to be incredibly useful, because that's the enemy Yamato. Now, what I'm taking away from this particular Yamato versus Yamato encounter is that clearly more people need to watch my World of Warships videos, particularly if they're captains of Musashis or Yamatos. Don't forget, both of these ships are armed with 18-inch guns. Both of these ships have 32mm of bow plating, so both of these ships can overmatch each other's bows. So the standard tactic for a battleship facing the Yamato or the Musashi's 18-inch guns is to not go straight nose in, which is what Elgar is doing, but is to instead angle slightly, which is what the enemy Yamato is doing. You do that in order to encourage some of those 18-inch shells to not just simply crash through the bows as if they weren't there, but instead to hit the belt armour at a steep angle and ricochet off. And in any tier 10 battleship other than the Yamato, that would work. But that is the Yamato, and it's not working, is it? And it's not working because Elgar is aiming right below the front turret, which is protected by a very, very thin sheet of cheek armour, and on the opposite side of that armour are the ammunition hoists for the turrets, and they're part of the Yamato's citadel. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Is that 307,000 damage? I think it is, and now it's suddenly a one-on-one, and, well, he still has to kill the Stalingrad, because he's still behind on points. Although, hold on a second. He's actually capping. And undetected. Managed to get some shots into the Stalingrad, although they were just over penetrations, but the Stalingrad's taking Billy big steps in the other direction. He doesn't want to have anything to do with what this Yamato is selling, which means that Elgar is able to just lurk casually behind this island, completely safe, because the Stalingrad's the only ship left on the enemy team. Who else is going to spot him? He knows exactly where the Stalingrad is. He can afford to loiter around here, sneak himself a cap, which will happen in just a couple of seconds. There it is. Yep. Captured the epicenter in the Yamato. And now he's got some points coming in. The question is, though, is it going to be enough? Is he still going to have to find and kill the Stalingrad? Because he's got 3 points coming in every tick, but there's only 2 minutes of this match left. Is that going to be enough? I've got to be honest, I don't know. It's going to be close. It may just be easier to fight the Stalingrad. But that's going to be easier said than done, because the Stalingrad's covered in all kinds of pesky 50mm armour strips that the Yamato's guns can't overmatch. Unless, of course, the Stalingrad is dumb enough to turn around and give broadside in an effort to get all of its guns firing. Oh, there's 331,000 damage. I think at this point the Stalingrad's decided, screw this. I'm just going to take the points and run. Oh, and he very, very nearly got obliterated there as well. Don't forget, Elgar's low on health. I mean, he still has a couple of heals, but there's very little healable damage left that he can recover. So, adrenaline rush has kicked in. And since he scored the Kraken Unleashed 5 kills with this Hiroko Yamamoto as the captain, the second wind perk is now also in effect, which means these guns are firing very, very quickly. In fact, I think he's got the reload down to 14 seconds. And oh, hold on a second. Look at the points. He's about, in fact, he has now just pulled even with 38 seconds to go. Lurking behind that island undetected, slowing down and taking the time to seize that centre cap has proven decisive. He would have lost this game if not for that one decision. Or he may not have necessarily lost, but he would have had to kill the Stalingrad. Right now, the only possible way he can lose is if the Stalingrad sinks him, but the Stalingrad just doesn't have time to do it, and in fact the Stalingrad is the one who's in most danger of getting himself sunk. In actual fact, the Stalingrad is going to be extremely lucky to survive this battle in the dying seconds. Oh, not quite, very nearly, but he is in fact going to live. Another classic example of a team snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, and I think a large part of the blame for that has to be laid at the feet of the enemy Shimakaze, who didn't have the sense to get out of his smokescreen, get out of detection range and just continue to spot Elgar for the enemy Yamato and the Stalingrad, who between the two of them definitely had the firepower to finish him off. And even if by some miracle they didn't, once the Shimakaze was clear of detection, he would have had all the time in the world to line up a killing torpedo shot against Elgar's Yamato, but for some reason he stayed inside that smokescreen and just made himself an easy kill. Also, of course, credit where credit's due, Elgar made the absolute right decision to stop, smell the coffee and take the time to seize that centre cap, without which, because he didn't kill the Stalingrad, he would definitely have lost this match. Remember kids, no cap kill all is for the World of Tanks crowd. We're a little bit more tactical here in World of Warships. Anyway, Elgar, congratulations on a well-earned victory and a frankly terrifying damage total of 341,000. Very well played. Thank you for sending that one in. Everybody else, I hope you enjoyed it, because that's it for today. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.